Hello dear children, welcome back to video classes. In the last session, we were studying about the unique scientist Louis Pasteur who worked on his potentials and strived to give knowledge about the germs to people. Now let's continue with the fifth paragraph. Pasteur was deeply interested in all the new experiments that were being made in chemistry and decided to solve some of the difficult problems that were worrying chemists and other scientists. When you are passionate about some subject and when you are deeply interested in a particular subject, so what will you do, children? You will not stuck up to only books. You will try to find other sources and will try to study more about it. Am I right or not? Same way here, Pasteur was deeply involved in his subject that it made him to take interest in all the experiments and discoveries that were going on around the world in the field of chemistry only. So many of the scientists were working on certain issues, but they were not able to come up with solutions. Sometimes he used to sit for hours, quite silent and motionless, thinking hard about one of his difficulties. He found this the easiest way to solve a problem, and when he thought of a solution, his tired looking face would brighten with pleasure and excitement, and he would rush round to tell his discovery to his wife and to others who were helping him. So, as I was telling, many of the scientists were working on certain issues, but they were not able to come up with solutions. But in case of Louis Pasteur, he was not somebody to sit and wait. He himself used to sit for hours, quiet, silently, and motionless, thinking about the solutions. There is no comparison of Louis Pasteur with other scientists' children. Even the other scientists were also working, but Louis Pasteur was such person. He himself was involving himself in the concept so deeply that he was coming up with the good solutions. He always tried to crack the secret of the difficult concept. Understood? So, what kind of person Louis Pasteur was? He used to take the things challenging, and his challenging behavior made him to come up with exciting solutions. He used to find the easiest way to solve the problem. So, when he was finding a solution, his face would brighten, and with great excitement, he used to rush to his wife and others to tell about his discovery. That's what, children, this shows how innocent he was. He never pretended to be a great thinker, always carried curiosity in mind. In 1854, Pasteur was appointed head of the College of Science at Lille, a busy manufacturing town in the northeast of France. He was pleased about this because he always felt that trades and industries could be helped very much by the researches of men of science. His chance to be useful soon came. Soon his works got noticed, children, and in 1854 he was fortunate to get appointed as head of the College of Science at Lille. It is pronounced as Lille, which was situated in the northeast of France. Actually, Lille was a busy manufacturing town in the northeast of France, children. Pasteur was so happy to be a part of Science College. Instead of feeling proud, he was happy because he was thinking this could help the people around. How was it possible, children? Why he thought this way? He thought this way because he could conduct the experiments in the biggest laboratories and with many equipments and was expecting that he could come with better solutions. And with these better solutions, he was pretty much sure that he could reach the traders and industries of that area. Have you got my point now? So, what this paragraph tells? This paragraph tells us that Pasteur was fortunate to get appointed as the head of the College of Science at Lille, and he was so happy. Instead of feeling proud, he was so happy that he could reach the traders and industries of that area, and he could make many more experiments in the biggest laboratories. So, very soon his wish came true, children. What happens next? Let's see. Pasteur, as a young chemist, had always been interested in the problems of why and how living things decay, why milk turns sour, why meat goes bad, why wine ferments. So, as a chemist, he understands the chemicals well. One who has the complete knowledge of reactions of chemicals, the curiosity of Pasteur made him to think why living things decay. If the food is left without the proper heating or kept unwrapped, then what happens to it, children? Yes, it decays. Its bad odor makes us to understand that it is decaying. Why decaying process takes place? Why it gets rotten? Only the person with expert knowledge can think like this. So, as a chemist, Pasteur wanted to find why milk turns sour and why the meat goes bad, and even why the wine ferments, means the wine of the brewers, why it goes bad. He started to give some lectures in Lille on fermentation. One of the chief industries in Lille was the manufacture of alcohol from beetroot, and he was fortunate in being able to carry out experiments in some of the breweries. One manufacturer consulted Pasteur about his beer, which was turning out badly, and Pasteur, by helping this brewer, managed to discover all sort of things that he did not know before about yeast. Yeast is used to make beer foam and bread rise up lightly. Pasteur became certain that yeast was alive, made up of tiny living cells. When these cells were healthy, the yeast acted well. But if they were diseased, the yeast and the beer went wrong. As I was telling, the curiosity of Pasteur made him to think why the milk turns sour and why the meat goes bad. So, whatever he understood for this question why, he started to give lectures in Lille on fermentation. Not only this, he was particularly experimenting to understand why wine was going bad, children. So, in that time, during the time of Pasteur, some of the industries were facing this problem. What was the problem? The wine was going bad. The wine was manufactured at that time in Lille from beetroot, and alcohol was manufactured by using beetroot, children, and it was going bad, because of which the whole wine industry was in trouble. A manufacturer of beer approached Pasteur and shared his problem. He was not able to store wine for longer period of time. Some chemical reaction was taking place in it, and it was getting bad. Because of this, he couldn't sell it to the people. So, the manufacturer asked Pasteur to help him. Then, after listening, Pasteur applied his knowledge to find what was wrong. Then, after conducting certain experiments, he discovered that it was because of yeast it was turning bad. He managed to discover all sort of things about yeast which he didn't know before. Understood, children? Have you got an idea now? What this paragraph tells? The paragraph tells that how curious Pasteur was. He wanted to find the solution. He always tried his level best to find the answers for every problem, every question. When he was searching the answer for why the milk was turning sour, why the meat was going bad, he got a query, the query of the manufacturer. The manufacturers were having a query that the alcohol which was produced by beetroot was turning bad. So, this was a good opportunity for the person who was having the expert knowledge in chemicals. So, he started to work on it and he came up with a solution that the yeast which was present in alcohol was something different. Means the sort of things which he knew before was not enough. Now when he came to know some interesting facts about the yeast. Yeast, you know, children, what is that? You know, it is used in the bakeries to make bread. It was used as a beer foam also in breweries. Then Pasteur came to know that yeast was alive. He discovered that by doing certain experiments, he discovered that yeast was alive in the alcohol. Although people use yeast in different making procedures, they did not know that yeast was actually a living thing. It was not just a substance, it was a living thing. It was alive and made up of tiny living cells. When these cells were healthy children, they acted very well. But when these cells were damaged, these cells were not healthy, then the yeast caused the substance to go bad. Have you understood now why the wine was going bad? So finally, it was proved by Pasteur that because of unhealthy yeast present in the wine was going bad. This was an interesting discovery, children, which was made by Pasteur, and like this, he helped many of the manufacturers of the alcohol in Lille. It was very quite appreciative work done by Pasteur. Today, still it is remembered. We cannot forget such a great personality. How curious he was, how challenging he was, and how he used to find the solutions, and how he used to spend the time in laboratories. There are many more things to know about Pasteur, children. We will continue in the next session. Hope you have understood the paragraphs which I have explained it today. Read it again. If you find any difficulty in any of the paragraph, in any of the line, take a screenshot and send to me. Meet you in the next session. Thank you.